Hi, welcome to my YouTube channel. Here I talk about movies that I've seen, because no one's ever done that before, right? Today let's discuss Inside Out, which everyone on the fucking planet seems to love, for some bizarre reason that I can't even begin to fathom. But not to be pretentious or anything, Inside Out came out on June 19th, 2015, and it was directed by Pete Docter, who also directed Monsters, Inc. and Up. I would tell you more about the movie, but this advertisement is blocking all the information on IMDb. Much has been said about the originality of this movie and how, oh my god, it's so new and interesting and creative, but much has also been said about how it actually isn't. The idea of little people representing your emotions or whatever living inside your head is hardly a new idea. There was that really awful-looking TV show, Herman's Head, and there was Osmosis Jones, and there was that one episode of SpongeBob, so I hesitate to say that the whole notion of Inside Out is just trailblazingly original, that we've never seen anything like it. I will, however, acknowledge the fact that the movie actually does do a fair deal to expand on the basic idea of little people living in your brain that represent your emotions. There are, I grudgingly admit, some pretty creative ideas going in this thing, particularly the part about the main character's dreams and how they're actually these elaborately staged TV-like programs that the people in her head put on every time she goes to sleep, that I enjoyed. I got a kick out of that. The ideas in this movie as a whole are kind of creative, but the big one, the obvious one about the emotions in her head that kind of control what she does, that's not anything new. Anyway, how about the big question, is it even good? Well, unfortunately, for me, Inside Out is one of those movies that treads the line between good and kind of lame. It sets foot in both territories, I would say, almost equally, but it manages to actually not be cringeworthy almost at all, somehow. There are a few jokes in there that that made me go, but not a lot of them, thankfully, and I also realize that humor is subjective and other people might get a lot more of a kick out of this stuff than I do. The dialogue could be surprisingly good, but definitely not all the time. I had this weird feeling that it's almost like they had to sneak in these clever little lines almost on the sly, and that they were constantly having to balance the good stuff with the lame, accessible stuff that kids and some adults will laugh at. There are lines in here that belong in a much better movie, and I see that happen actually quite a bit, and especially movies made by really big companies like Disney and Pixar. Lines that hint that the writers know perfectly well that they're dumbing down their movie to make it accessible, and that they do very much have the capability to make a really well-written film. Now, this isn't surprising, but I realize this more and more as I get older. When I was a kid, of course, I didn't understand why there could be such a disconnect in a single movie between the really good lines and the really bad ones. I didn't understand how they could be in the same movie. But now I understand that the minds behind these films are, I think, very intelligent ones for the most part. But of course, they're forced to dumb things down because they're not writing for the gifted grade 3 class, they're writing for just the average kid. And there's nothing wrong with that at all, but it's frustrating when you realize that. When you realize that that's the case, and that they could do a lot better. Still though, of all the crappy CGI kids movies that you could be dragged to, Inside Out is probably one of the better ones. And mostly the reason I feel this is because it really isn't very cringy at all. Yeah, it's super predictable, but not really in an obnoxious way. At least that's not how it came off for me. It's by the numbers, it's simple, but it's made for kids, so what do you expect? Surprisingly though, it's a little more challenging than you might think. At the beginning of the movie, it's shown that every experience that the main character has will be made into a memory that corresponds to one of her 5 emotions. So like, she has a happy experience and the memory turns into a joy memory. Now, I thought this was weirdly simplistic, but I didn't really care that much because again, it's a kids movie, simplification is to be expected. However, at the end of the movie, spoilers, the emotions start mixing together. So instead of just having a straight up happy memory, you can have one that's happy and sad combined. And I liked that, because yeah, that's kind of how your memories are in real life. When you think about your 7th birthday where you got a new kitten, you're probably going to feel happy, but you might also feel very sad because of nostalgia, or maybe your cat has passed away since then. Emotions aren't just one thing, they combine, they become very complicated, and I'm glad that the movie did eventually address that. Is it a good movie for kids? I think it's an okay movie for kids. You should probably explain to your younger kids especially that, their brains are actually super complicated things made up of neurons and synapses and so forth, just in case, but I doubt any kid is going to take this movie as science anyway. It kind of teaches life lessons in that, you can experience emotional turmoil and that it doesn't have to be your fault, and I don't know, yeah. It's not, brilliant in its morals, but it has some substance for sure, and that's more than a lot of kid movies have. So Inside Out did surprise me because it was better than I was expecting. My expectations were very low in the first place, but I can say that I guess I'm glad I saw it. If I was 6 or 7 or 8 watching this, I think I would have probably loved it, but unfortunately I'm an adult and I'm cynical and I've seen way too much of how things work to be enamored by this kind of thing anymore. That said, if you absolutely adore this movie, you definitely aren't in the wrong. You can adore whatever you want. I just think that it's not the pinnacle of originality as people are trying to paint it. So that's my thoughts on Inside Out. Would you like to comment? Like the video? Subscribe? Send me your unborn children? Don't do that, that would be weird. Yeah, so I don't even know what I'm gonna do with this YouTube channel, but this is what I got so far. Does anyone... I don't know if people are actually gonna watch it. Probably not. I'll probably send it to my friends and make them watch it. This is a title card, but I don't have any other videos to send you to, so you're just sitting here talking to you for no reason. Yeah, okay. Bye!